Turns out they're not actually trying to make a black hole at the Large Hadron Collider. Did you know that?
Wait, really? Okay,
I know.
wait. Okay, continue with your thing, and I'll continue with my thing later. So, what are they trying to make?
Well, well, that's just it. So I went down another rabbit hole. Sometimes I just realize there's like things you quote unquote know, right? But then you think about it and you're like, but I don't actually, like, I kind of just know of it. And then I'm like, I really don't understand it. So then I look it up. So I looked up the Large Hadron Collider because the longest time, I think it happened too, because I went to breakfast with my dad. We were talking something and he mentioned like yeah, and like, can't believe they're trying to make that. Like, what if they end up making that black hole in the Large Hadron Collider? We're all going to disappear. They shouldn't be messing with that. And it reminded me, I'm like, that doesn't sound right, but I don't know enough to refute it.
Yeah.
So I need to go actually look it up. And when I was looking up, that's like the first thing I started with. It's like, is the Large Hadron Collider going to cause a black hole? And they essentially went through all these myths, and it's like, no. In fact, like, as far as I'm aware, that's not even possible. It's not a thing it's going to do. It's just some wives' tale, essentially, somebody came up with. But it's way bigger than I thought it was, because they actually showed a visual representation, and the tube itself. I mean, I don't have an actual,
Isn't it like
like,
miles long? Like,
it's something like, I'm pulling this out of my anus. 48-kilometer radius or something.
oh, so
The
the
48
radius.
kilometer.
Okay.
Yeah, regardless, it's freaking huge. But also, I mean, the tube itself. Because I just thought, I don't know, they've got some atoms in there and they're trying to smash them. So it's really long, but the tube must be like really tiny. The whole thing itself. Well, the tube sort of is, but the whole entire contraption is the whole essentially giant wire is like, yeah, I'm gonna make this up because it was a video and they didn't say specifications. Like 150 feet by 150 feet or something. It's way underground and it is just freaking massive, brother. And I'm like, all that for that little tube. And so yeah, I was like, okay, well, I got to figure out what the fudge this actually does. And turns out, yes, they are smashing atoms, which is pretty self-explanatory. But they're doing it to figure out and find um, subatomic particles that we've never found before. Because this is also when I realized science is crazy because, like, everything, I mean, what? It's been like 12 years since I took physics, maybe 13. I don't know. Feeling old. Um, but everything I was learning about, I realized it's like actually a lot of that's just wrong. For instance,
Oh, yeah.
I never learned about subatomic particles. Up until recently, I'd heard the words quarks, but I'll be honest, I'm like, I don't actually know what a quark is. And I didn't look it up. So I always thought like atom is the smallest thing in the universe. Because that's I swear that's what I was told. Well, as it turns out, it goes deeper. So we have like the atomic uh chart table, periodic table, whatever the fudge. But then it goes deeper, and then it's called like the basic fundamental guideline, something, whatever the fudge. It's the most confusing thing I've ever looked at. I'm never going to understand it. But it's essentially like the basic building blocks. And it's the subatomic particles which make up the atoms. And so what they're doing is they're just speeding up atom into just almost like speed of light. And I always thought it was just like one atom and one atom. Pew, pew. Now it turns out it's like billions or something like that because the odds of actually them hitting each other are so low, even in the collisions they have. So it's essentially just like a shotgun
Yep.
effect of just like,
Just kind
let's
of
hope
praying. Just
something
kind of
hits.
hoping.
Yeah.
And
And then
even
like out
then,
of like
and even then,
billion.
there might be even smaller particles than subatomic particles that we just haven't even been able to.
True.
Like, it's
Haven't gotten there yet.
crazy.
Workplace stress is one of the new top causing of declining mental health, with 61% of global workforces experiencing higher than normal levels of stress. And trust me, I have tons of workplace stress related things, and that is what BetterHelp helped me learn about myself during my time with BetterHelp. You know, I always thought content creation was something that was very simple, very easy to do, but it takes a lot out of you mentally, not so much physically, but a lot of the mental stuff that I needed to work on is something that I learned through BetterHelp. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. It's convenient too. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with diverse variety and expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/GG. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/GG. Summer is here, more sun, more light, more time to do all the things that make summer so special. And the number one thing that you don't want to be doing all summer is spending hours cooking inside. That's where Factor comes in. Factor's chef created, dietitianary approved meals are ready in just 2 minutes, taking the hassle out of eating well. As you guys may know, I'm not the greatest of cooks, so being able to just throw in a BetterHelp thing and have this delicious, like, chicken asparagus meal that I would normally never eat, and it tastes delicious. I even get my veggies in sometimes. Factor powers your day, sun up to sundown, with nutritious breakfasts, on the go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt free snacks and desserts. Factor has your whole day covered. I was always a little bit of a skeptic of the microwave, but I use this and you guys should too. Get started at factormeals.com/GG50off and use code GG50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code GG50off at factormeals.com/GG50off for 50% off plus free shipping. Factormeals.com/GG50off.
But yeah, they do it, and then they get a couple to hit, and then essentially the computer tries to just like track, and it's like all split second stuff that like we wouldn't, and it like they're gone before we know it, but then the computer tracks it, and that's actually how they found a bunch of the subatomic particles, including I believe the Higgs boson. It had been theorized, but I think we found the God
The
particle,
God
or
particle.
like yeah, which I'd heard, and I was like, what the fudge? And they found like a smaller one, but like proof that if they can replicate and get the right collision or whatever the fudge, they could actually find the Higgs boson. But so then I'm sitting there like, what? And so yeah, it turns out when you bust atoms together, what you're getting are quarks and gluons. And that's when I realized what a quark is. And that's essentially the subatomic particle of atoms. And then the gluons, I didn't really, I tried to remember them as I think, they help things stick together. But then they find different, and the weird thing is, bro, they're shiny hunting, but like IRL. They just keep running into the grass,
They're
aka
full on shiny
hitting
hunting
atoms,
and like
raw dogging it, bro.
but
Yeah,
like
they have no
multiple
shiny chance.
times the shiny chance. There's no Masuda method here. They're just kind of
No
hoping.
Masuda method, and it's like way worse than the shiny. So every time they hit the particles, they're like gambling addicts, bro. They're like, what if this time? You know what I'm saying? And they'll get a couple collisions, and now we got these ones. But that's what they do, and that's the weird thing I don't fully comprehend. Is they're doing it and they're smashing atoms, but like the collisions can produce. That's where I kind of got lost. Why are the same collisions producing different subatomic particles? I wasn't very clear on that. But it was very interesting because it's like one of those things where it's like the first time you go like, why is the sky blue? Like it's blue and it's obvious. But I couldn't actually like it's like I don't actually know. And then you look it up, and this was one of those moments for me. It's like, oh my god, like it's actually that simple. And it's crazy the tech that goes into it though. And they talk about how with the heat they're producing and with the smashing of the atoms and stuff, they were saying that it's the closest probably anywhere in the universe, or at least that they know of right now, that would be the hottest and closest replication of what they believe the Big Bang to be when it was like cosmic soup, which was essentially really hot and just a bunch of quarks and gluons at the time. It was just like a big soup before everything came together. And so it's weird to think that they're that like in that little place. They're creating that little. It's like it's wild, bro. Anyway, we are going to destroy ourselves. Whether or not that ends up creating the black hole, who's to say?
Man,
But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Quarks is actually the subatomic particle of atoms. More you know.
if we got Thanos snapped by a black hole, that would be merciful with the way we're blowing ourselves up.
It'd be a better way to go, bro.
You were also talking about how it's just like impossible to comprehend. It's like that's like also kind of the fun part about it is like infinity is so indescribable. And you talked about like, oh, the first time I figured out that, like the sky was blue, but like there's so many things like that that are like constantly happening, and then you're like, well, why do they smash the particles together? And they're like to find things that we don't even know about yet. And I'm just like, whoa,
That's the
we're tiny little subatomic particles flying on a tiny little space rock, huh?
yeah, that's the crazy thing to me about all of it is like so many people's job is essentially finding things we don't know about, which is like just so vague. And for me, it's like a nightmare. It's like where would I even start? But then the way they go about it, but then hearing all the stuff they've already learned from this hadron collider, and I think they're working to build a bigger ones, maybe in Australia. I forget. Um, even bigger. I don't think they can really get faster because I believe it's like 99% speed of light or whatever, and we can't hit the speed of light. Um, but it was interesting learning more about it, and that's just what it made me realize. That I was like, it is strange, especially science of all the things. Like what I learned in calculus 12 years ago, if I were to use it right now, probably I doubt it's changed. But 12 years ago, what I learned in physics, right now, a lot of that is wrong. Like I started looking into string theory again because I remember hearing about that around then, right? Like string theory, the thing that connects everything. So I recently looked into it because I was seeing some talks. I'm like, ooh, this is interesting. Turns out it's pretty much been debunked completely, but people are still trying to talk about it. And it seems like people are trying to cope and move the goalpost so that we don't throw string theory away. But as far as we can tell at this point, it's just going to be forgotten and it actually doesn't really answer anything.
I remember seeing some Reddit post about it.
Somebody told me
Someone
this.
about because string theory was like a really popular theory when I remember being in college, and people were like, oh, dude, you gotta look into the string theory. It's like there's a million different like cope reasons that back then I was like, I mean, I'm still probably just as dumb as I was back then, but I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. But your thirst for knowledge is just like, okay, well, this sounds like a cool theory. You know, who knows? Because at this point, what the fuck do we know about the fabric of reality? Just like some little ideas that humans made up about like what the fabric of reality is made of. You know what I mean? So then I looked it up and I was like, that sounds plausible. And then it wasn't until actually a couple weeks ago, it's funny that you brought it up. I was like browsing on Reddit, and because I'm a Redditor, and I was like, I don't know, every once in a while, like on my For You feed, there's like some science cosmic shit because I do love hearing about all the really cool shit
James
about
Webb's
physics and
pictures.
yeah.
Whenever those show up on the timeline.
And then they're like, oh, you looked at space pictures. You must like the concept of subatomic particles and astrophysics. And I was like, yeah, man, for sure. So then, I don't know. I don't even remember where the topic at hand was, but it was about, it was also about particles. And I guess the guy was pretty like blatant in one of the comments. He was like, yeah, I mean, this is just like another one of those things that kind of proves how weird the string theory actually is as a concept. And like one of the most downvoted replies was some dude coping. He was like, yeah, people like you probably don't want to believe in the string theory, but there's so much about it that actually makes a lot of sense. And if you actually like science, you would believe in the string theory. And it was like fucking like minus like 1,000 downvotes. And I was like, damn, I didn't realize the string theory had fallen out of favor that quickly. Shit. That's crazy.
Well,
It's crazy.
Did I, and that's why I was like, wait, nobody told me like this wasn't.
Yeah.
And so I watched a video of like a physicist trying to explain like, so what's up with string theory? Where is it right now? And my rudimentary understanding, and I'm sure I'm going to say it wrong because I can't remember exactly, but there's like two types of like there's two buckets essentially of string theory, and both do one thing right, but then the other thing wrong. I think one's like these sorts of string theories, like the swamp string theory or something, those vibes. Like observationally, it'll work, but then it's something like in math or in practice or like something like that, it doesn't hold up. And then the other one's like vice versa. But so the point is, unless it works in both ways or whatever, like it's just not possible. And so I remember because it all started because I saw a headline about something about like string theory plausible again, and then it turned out to be some guy really trying to move the goalpost, I guess, to just keep string theory alive. Be like, but see, it's possible, but he really just made it super vague. Um, but so I, as I'm learning too, I gotta respect scientists, physicists, astrophysicists, all of them. Your job is to be a hater, bro.
Real
Like
shit
that's
though.
it.
But like
And
the
I
number
love
one
it
hater.
because yeah, like 99% of people could be like, yeah, you're so right, dude. And you'll always have one hater that's like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. And they'll try until they can or they can't. But that's like literally your job. Somebody says something, and your job is to now be a hater and be like, ah, but what does it? Because if it doesn't pass if it messes up a single time, it doesn't matter, just a single time, kaputs, you're gone, you're out. And I gotta respect that tenacity. And some of the stories I've heard about people going out of their way to like debunk certain scientists or whatever, respect, man. They are petty, and I'm here for it.
It's funny because that is kind of like the job that you sign up for, of like debunking and disproving, to like really narrow down like what is true and what is not. And it's funny because like when Neil deGrasse Tyson was like on Twitter and like people were like started bitching about him because every single time like something would come up, he'd be like, well, actually, this is completely impossible. And I think it was the Christmas one. Everyone was like, Santa Claus is coming. And then Neil, he was like, he was just like, hey, Christmas is really cool. But don't forget, it's actually statistically impossible for Santa to even possibly traverse the earth in the way that he is traversing without having multiple different Santa Clauses. And even then, it would be an incredible ask to visit every single household. And then everyone's like, man, fuck you, Neil. Imagine taking the joy out of things. And I was also in that camp. But later down the line, it's like, yeah, well, I mean, you kind of, that is kind of what you do. You kind of just be like, is that real shit? No, not real shit. All right, that's not real shit. Let's not, God, what's the word I'm looking for? Let's not, you know, what's the word when you're talking about something you know isn't true, but you do it just for the shits and giggles. Let's not.
Hypothesize or daydream or
Not even hypothesis. Let's not even
imagine.
Dude.
Entertain.
Entertain. There you go. Let's not even entertain the idea. Like once we know that it's not true, but I respect it. I gotta respect it.
Yeah. So just another development on Mr. Fruit's journey into the cosmos. Speaking of journey into cosmos, though, one, we don't have Rob today. He's dealing with some stuff, and he's all right. But just yesterday, Rob and I jumped into the cosmos for the brand new Destiny 2 Day 1 raid race. Oh, brother, do I have some takes, man.
This has been...
It's probably for the best, Rob, isn't it? Because, well, or maybe they would have... he probably had some real hot takes.
I'm sure
and
Rob...
You know him. He's not afraid to say.
This has been like one of the most... like where everyone has been so vocal about things. And I had like my whole tweet about how I hate Warlock not being a grenade class. And I gotta be honest, this is the least I've tweeted about a new expansion in probably years. So the fact that the one tweet I made about the game got everyone pretty excited in different ways was pretty funny. This is the first time I haven't played really. I haven't even started the campaign yet, so I'm super ultra omega giga behind. I've just been, my favorite thing to do with like these X packs is like go fiddle around with like the sandbox, and knowing that really there's just a campaign this time around and not really like a whole lot else beside the raid. I was like, it's time to lock in. Thursday night, me, my Warlock, a bunch of random old exotics. Let's fuck around for a couple hours. But the discourse around the actual campaign and even the raid, everyone has had like really loud opinions this time. Probably the loudest I think I've ever heard as far as like divisiveness goes. So I'm curious how you feel, not just about the campaign, but also about the raid, because this is, it's been a fiesta.
Been something. Yeah. Yes, there's a way to put it. Uh, so just for context, for those unaware, this last week, Destiny 2 released its brand new expansion, its first expansion, technically, since the final shape. Because before that, there were episodes, which like weren't
Seasons.
quite seasons, yeah, but they were kind of seasons, just names episodes. Which also, I thought, okay, call me crazy. I thought they said episodes weren't going anywhere. So then I come back to find out, no, they're all gone. Why are we still doing this, man? So I missed a year of Destiny, and then I came back, and there's nothing new. It's all gone. I mean, I guess technically there's like 2 new dungeons or whatever. Um, but like all that stuff, most of the loot, and it's just I thought we stopped doing that, but whatever. So that's entirely different. Because yeah, when I went to boot it up, the DLC came out, I think July 14th, 15th, something like that. Went to Steam to play. Well, I had to reinstall it. And it said last played July 17, 2024. So it's been almost a year to the day that I even booted up Destiny. I was like, bet. Me, Rob Dado did the campaign day 1. And then I didn't touch it again until the raid. Because also I wasn't even sure if Rob and I were going to raid. I told him, like, I'm kind of like, like, I'm not going to try hard. I'm not going to prep. I just don't got it in me right now, or for this time. And
It's a weird time of the year for sure. Not just that, but also, I mean,
well, mentally, I just wasn't ready to go through that right now because we didn't have a team, mind you. So it was like Friday morning. Rob's like, "Are we raiding?" I'm like, "I don't know. We need 4 people." So then I think he asked Arnav. Arnav just pinged the Discord and it's just like, "Anybody want to raid with Rob and Fruit tomorrow?" Eventually, by the end of the night, or maybe even like Saturday morning, we got the last one. I don't know.
you're looking at
4 people.
the applications. You're like, what's yes, oh yes, of course. Oh,
No,
yes.
here's the better part. I didn't know who the team was until I joined their thing like 5 minutes before the raid. That's just to like that's how checked out I was.
That's
I'm
the
like,
that's the dream team special.
we're vibing, baby. Yeah, we're vibing. And because of this, like expectations are low. I'm not coming in here like, this is it. We're clearing.
Lock
baby.
in, boys.
The only thing was like everyone was worried it'd be like Root of Nightmares 2. So I'm like, okay, if it turns out to be that, we might actually have a chance because like if it's Root of Nightmares 2, I mean, you know, that's manageable. So I'll get to the raid after I talk about the campaign and stuff. Biggest gripe with the expansion is they've moved away. They're not doing like seasons anymore, I believe. And now it's just 2 expansions a year. So this was one of the expansions. But like, let's talk about content, man. Like how far we've fallen. There's a new destination, Kepler. Sure. There's the campaign. There are no new modes, no new PvP maps. There's no new strikes. There's no new dungeons. It's the campaign, the patrol, some quests on the destination. The raid. I'm trying to think, but like that's kind of it. And somebody mentioned, so World's First has happened since the raid. This is the first raid where nothing happens in game once somebody clears it. Like zilch, not even like a cutscene or a quest or nothing.
In quite a long time.
People were coping. Like, nah, trust, man. Like there'll be something, man. Imagine. I even saw some cope like, bro, it's gonna be like Dreaming City, bro. Wow.
That is insane, Cope, for a company that is
Cope, man.
like
That was crazy work.
such a much smaller workforce working on it than in the past.
And to think that they would hide that in marketing, you know, they'd be throwing that because they would need to.
They would need to, because I mean, continue the TLDR. Trust me, they know their numbers are not up.
Yeah, which the initial launch numbers for this DLC record low.
I don't even think it broke 100,000 on Steam, right?
No, I think it was like 94K.
Which is obviously Steam is not like the only metric that matters, but it does kind of show.
Paints a picture.
It does paint a picture of like what the greater gaming sphere what their interest in this game is for sure.
So funnily enough, it did hit its peak yesterday. The raid's actually what helped hit its peak. It
Huge.
hit 108,000.
Nice.
So yeah, that's better. But for instance, like people pointed out, like even Lightfall, which was like the heck, that peaked at 316,000 on Steam. Even I mean, what Final Shape hit 314, so almost same number. And even if you go back, I even think like
I think Shadowkeep was probably the
Shadowkeep or something.
only other one that was very low on numbers.
But even then, I think it's still like double this or something. I can't remember. So it's pretty indicative, and I can't say I'm surprised, because I think it is more evident that a lot of people just checked out. Like we thought they would. I'm sure Bungie thought people would. Where it was just that finish moment, and I know, like I've heard from people where it's just like Final Shape felt like the end, either because they wanted it to, or it just felt that way. You know, some
Yeah.
people were like, "I'm only coming back just to see it through to the end," or some people were even confused, like, "Is this the end?"
I had a
don't.
lot of people come back for Final Shape that I would have never seen play the game because they were just like, "Oh, it's the ending." And I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people are invested in the game that, well, maybe not as much anymore, but there's only so much whiplash like a person can take with this IP before they're just like, okay. But especially when the 10-year saga is ending and they're like, this is the end of the 10-year saga, it's like, well, unless you guys have some hooks coming, you know, for the newer players who are going to stick with it, the bleeding is going to keep happening because there's only so much whiplash everyone can take. So
And
I was excited to see what they were going to do with this, even if it was a smaller, gameplay direction.
Which it was. They did try to, like, this was not quite like a soft reset, but it kind of was. Like power got reset, and then armor changed with armor 3.0 or whatever, and some things here and there. So they were kind of resetting some stuff, but it's still not enough that it's still new player friendly. Like that's still something they have to work on in the future. And I mean, again, if I were Bungie, you'd have to put all your eggs in that basket. Like we got to because we need new people. And that's when you also, that big release, that's when you drop the 2. Just call it Destiny if you're going to keep this going.
Which they
I'll
got to
still die
keep
on
it
that hill.
going. They have to keep
Well,
it going because Marathon has not exactly been breaking records or people's opinions.
It feels so bad seeing the effect it's had on Destiny and then also knowing what Marathon is. Where it's just like, imagine a world where resources weren't taken and they continued and doubled down on Destiny instead. Obviously, that's not the case. So I have to imagine, especially with Sony now and with it, like, they're going to put everything back into deck or like all hands on deck. Like, all right, well, we're boned again. And it's going to be a Final Shape kind of moment where, like, we really got to freaking get this thing going again. But the campaign in Kepler, the big, whatchamacallit, marketing was like that ball matter spark or whatever. Which again, I mean, it's what it felt like. It's like deep sight resonance. I mean, you use it a little bit more, but you only use it on that destination during the campaign or like roaming and stuff. So it's just kind of like a whatever. And my biggest gripe are the puzzles. Because they're not puzzles. It is just looking around for something where it's like, I know what to do. I just have to figure out where a rocket launcher is. Or I know what to do. I just have to find a little hole in the wall somewhere. That's the puzzle. And that doesn't feel like, I figured that one out.
I think they might have misunderstood the assignment when they were talking about, oh yeah, it's going to be a big like Metroid-like, and it's like, well, the Metroid-like is not just turning into a ball to find holes.
Yeah, when they say Metroidvania, they're like, you turn into a ball. Because the other thing is,
you turn into a ball and find the hole. Am I right, boys?
Hey, yo, Samus. The progress in the campaign and stuff they don't understand what a Metroidvania is like because there is no choose your own. It's I'm doing something. Oh, I don't have this. There's no going around or going to get this. It's just they'll give it to me when I get there.
So it's like a very
And so it's still
glorified.
linear, essentially.
It's almost like glorified fetch quest, is what I'm hearing.
It's still just linear. Like it's just like sure you can do this, but you're just gonna do the things we want you to, and you won't be able to progress until you get the next thing. So like it's not like oh I'll go this way and then maybe go this way and come back. Like it's still just linear. So it's just a weird way to like describe it when they were talking about what it was supposed to feel like or whatever. I do like the destination though. The story, I enjoyed the cutscenes, and it's kind of setting up the, well, I guess the next saga, the Fate of the Nine or whatever it's called. So I did enjoy that, and I enjoyed some of the cutscenes. I enjoyed going back to the pre-collapse, seeing those in cutscenes and stuff. I won't say any spoilers or anything, but
I wouldn't be
I
against it.
enjoyed that. But then the rest of it was it was very okay. It was a lot of retreading, um, and I was like indifferent on the gameplay. Uh, but yeah, I kind of I like the story, so can't complain about that. And I
Oh,
like the destination. But there's only so many new weapons, and yeah, when we got done with that, it was sort of like, okay, well, what's there to do now? It's finish the couple quests scattered around the map, and then just grind power level because you got reset. In their new portal that they want everybody to use, which is supposed to be play your way, but obviously, clearly, that's they don't incentivize you to play. Like, there's still just like a we saw with the encore thing. There was a featured dungeon on the portal that was giving extra rewards if you hit it a certain rank. So you put certain modifiers on it, and there was like this grapple modifier. So people found out with that and a couple things, you can run through that dungeon and like people were getting like down to 13 minutes, and then you get like 8 powerful rewards and just spit them all out. And it was by far and away the most efficient. So then people just did that. And then Bungie the next day was like, hey, we told you to play your way, but like not like that. Disabled. And then of course the gripe too is everybody who couldn't do it is now like further behind because those people just got an edge. And people were concerned about the edge they'd have in the raid because while the raid has power capped, the new armor system goes up to tier 4, tier 5, and they come with significant like stat changes or gear stuff, whatever. So there was ways they might be able to eke out some numbers in their stats and whatnot. So yeah, the portal. I don't know how I feel about it yet.
my understanding also is that the end game of this expansion was essentially grinding out like new armor and tiers while also just grinding power level, because beyond, like you said earlier, beyond the campaign and the new destination, which is not even like a public destination, it's a fire team only destination, there's not actually anything else. There's no new lost sectors, there's no new strike, there's no new like activities. It's just, which I mean, again, I'm not, for smaller DLC, I'm not going to complain about, but if the end game is just doing a lot of the old things we used to do, that feels like very reductive, because that's like one of the main things people used to complain about with old expansions. That was like the number one complaint, I think, is why did I finish this new expansion and I'm going back to like the fire team playlist or the like looking for the one thing that to grind the highest light level.
Right. And you're pretty much right.
Dang.
And that's what, like, I'm looking at it. And to be fair, especially after playing the raid, I'm like, you know what? I'd kind of be down to grind and get like some cool gear set or whatever. But then it's like, what means to what end? Because between these, like, so this is where I'm not sure. So we get an expansion, what, like 6 months? And none after that? But,
Yeah.
like, what's
I mean,
happening in the
even
next 6
then,
months?
assuming it doesn't get delayed itself.
Right. And it's like, well, what is being added? What's changing in the next 6 months? I genuinely don't know. So that's what I'm
That's
curious.
ooh, I didn't even think about that because we don't have seasons. We don't have like
Yeah.
a buffer for the next expansion. That's gonna be brutal if they don't have like a steady flow of new things coming over the next 6 months. And it's already brutal because people have not been kind to the gameplay direction of this expansion. I mean, I think ultimately what I've understood from browsing the socials and the seeing other some of our peers' opinions on it is like narratively great, gameplay wise, guys. There's more coming, right? Like guys, there's more
That's what
coming,
I'm
right?
saying.
This isn't it, right? There's more coming, right, guys?
And I think maybe that also speaks maybe there is, but even me, like a casually engaged fan, and I keep up to, like, date on, like, discussions or reveals, whatever, I don't know what's coming next. So for the average person, they don't know what's coming
And you're
next either,
probably
so
not expecting that much to come next anyways because the expansion is supposed to be like that big dumpy. It's that big burst of holy shit, there's so much Destiny to play.
that's why it's like, wait, this is the next 6 months? We didn't get much. But with that said, it was great to hop back in, choose some. I mean, it'd been a year. Felt good playing
Yeah.
with like new exotics. I enjoyed, even though it's not like optimal. The new Titan thing where you're a Forge Master and you can recall your hammer now like you're Thor. I had fun with that.
But it does have
Um,
to hurt in a way knowing that there is a lot of new stuff you haven't played yet. You just don't have access to it and never will again.
yeah, that is kind of what I thought. At least I was like, all right, well, I'll come back and I'll have a lot to catch up on. Or like, all right, there'll be some stuff I just haven't done yet. But then to realize everything but the dungeons or whatever is just gone. That's just so bizarre to me. Why are we still content vaulting?
The content vault is definitely
I
a
don't know.
shadow that will forever haunt this game from like a not just from like a gameplay perspective, but also from a consumer perspective. Because I mean, I already know you're renting games in this video game sphere, right?
Yeah.
So, but like for a live service game to be like nuking so much of like even just the past year of its things so quickly is yeah, it's gonna keep haunting the game for as long as the game continues doing it. But I was also kind of excited for you to play a couple of things because that's like one of the things you talked most about that you enjoy is coming back to D2 after a long time and playing all of the old stuff that you hadn't played over the past year. And you kind of, in its own way, get like a mini expansion lead up to the new expansion.
Yeah. Like that reminded me
And
of well, I've done it several times. But the one I remember the most was when they did the anniversary thing and they introduced Onslaught.
yeah,
They introduced that, and then I had like 3 or 4 seasons, whatever, of stuff that was still sticking around. And then before that, a couple years, there was some big expansion. I came back and I had like a year. And so yeah, it feels good too. It's like, oh, I did this stuff, but also I can go back and do all this stuff. Cause like in the campaign, there's some character that's introduced, and they're introducing a season. And apparently they're a pretty big deal. And I can't go back and figure out where this started from. I'll have to go watch, cutscene videos or a Bife video. I mean, that's kind of like the bizarre part to me. Because like, yeah, like I played it, killing things, fun. I now see a grind, and that's like, I was hoping I would like to have more stuff to do. Like, ooh, I'd like to come back right now. I kind of have that bug, play some new
I got
stuff.
that bug in me.
But I come back a year later, and you tell me I'm practically just still playing the same stuff. Like, like there's almost nothing new. It's just strange. And again, I want Destiny to get better because when I'm enjoying Destiny and it's great. There's not really anything else like it out there right now. Um, but then yeah, it's frustrating knowing how Bungie has handled Bungie the past so many years, and I don't know. I would love Destiny to be the game I want to play again, but the best way it was described is like I even had somebody or a couple people coming to mind like, hey, should I jump back in for this? Blah blah blah. And the best way somebody described it was like if if you are enjoying Destiny right now, you'll enjoy this. If you're not, it's no different. It's again one of those things that's not going to bring people back and like reel them in. It's not got a lot of wow factor. I mean, we didn't get in that same way too. No supers, no classes, um, no new abilities.
Which I mean,
Like not even aspects or
even if we don't
something.
get those, you know, it's still fun to like have new activities and a new sandbox to play with those new you know, toys and weapons and
Well, and mind you,
activities.
major expansion, 3 exotic weapons, 1 exotic armor per class. That's literally like a season. And this is like a major DLC. It's just, yeah. I mean, I know they're working with what they can, but I would really like.
Workplace stress is one of the new top causing of declining mental health, with 61% of global workforces experiencing higher than normal levels of stress. And trust me, I have tons of workplace stress related things, and that is what BetterHelp helped me learn about myself during my time with BetterHelp. You know, I always thought content creation was something that was very simple, very easy to do, but it takes a lot out of you mentally, not so much physically, but a lot of the mental stuff that I needed to work on is something that I learned through BetterHelp. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. It's convenient too. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with diverse variety and expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/gg. That's betterhelp, HELP.com/gg. Summer is here, more sun, more light, more time to do all the things that make summer so special. And the number one thing that you don't want to be doing all summer is spending hours cooking inside. That's where Factor comes in. Factor's chef created, dietitianary approved meals are ready in just 2 minutes, taking the hassle out of eating well. As you guys may know, I'm not the greatest of cooks, so being able to just throw in a BetterHelp thing and have this delicious like chicken asparagus meal that I would normally never eat and it tastes delicious. I even get my veggies in sometimes. Factor powers your day, sun up to sundown, with nutritious breakfasts, on the go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt free snacks and desserts. Factor has your whole day covered. I was always a little bit of a skeptic of the microwave, but I use this and you guys should too. Get started at factormeals.com/GG50off and use code GG50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code GG50off at factormeals.com/GG50off for 50% off plus free shipping. Factormeals.com/GG50off.
Destiny to get back on track again. Because that's what I'm saying. You know, that's why I take breaks. Because I know grinding it when I'm not feeling it will just make me like burn out and hate the game. So I just drop it. But then I come back and then I get the bug again and then I enjoy it. And then I know when I stop enjoying it, I just drop it and I know I'll come back again. But right now I came back in and there's just not much to do, which is unfortunate. So yeah, the campaign, it was just fun playing. With the stat changes and stuff, Legendary with 3 people was definitely really squishy. Or not squishy, the opposite. Pretty tanky. But the story was good. Yeah, I'll agree with that. And so then I was like, all right, well, if we end up raiding, I guess we'll raid. Because at the very least, 100 light level, whatever, was like all you needed. So that was pretty easy to hit. Then the raid. Oh, brother.
Here we go.
Here's
I'm
where
ready
my
to
real
hear about
picks come
this.
in. Jesus, man. So came in low expectations. I was like, a win for us. Let's just clear 1 encounter. Let's see. That's all I'm asking for. We load in. Now, off the rip, what I did like, but we quickly found out it's a choose your own encounter raid. The first 3 encounters, it's
Leviathan,
horizontal.
let's go.
Yeah, you choose, except it's not even on a rotation. So it'll just be like every time, like, do you want to go here? You want to go there? So you get to choose which one you go to first. And from my understanding, you will have to beat all three of them to get to the final fourth boss encounter that's the end of the raid. But you choose whichever one you start to. So we just randomly ended up on the one we ended up on. And I think for spectators, it was definitely more interesting too, because so many different teams are all on different things.
Ooh,
As far as
true.
the raid race as well, though, makes it a little more interesting because by the time a team finishes the first encounter,
Finishes.
all three have been solved. So then they just go, hey, yo, for the next two, here's just what you do. So it does change the raid race in that sense, in that once you solve the first encounter, barring the last one, the fourth final, the others are just solved at that point. But I don't mind that. I thought that was interesting. So I enjoyed that. That's kind of, well, for me, that's kind of where it ended. Well, let me tell you, it was not Rude Nightmares 2. Whoever said that, bet you're feeling real silly, okay? First clear ended up taking 16 hours, 15 to 16 hours, around there. Rob and I's team, we were, maybe on our encounter for 9-ish hours. And then I called it. I went to go see a movie. Never beat it.
Based.
Now our claim to fame. We were the first team, evidently, on any encounter to figure out DPS phase. Because suddenly a bunch of people showed up on my stream. I'm like, what the fudge? And then they were saying I was getting shout outs. I think I was on, I was up on the main screen at Bungie. Some other stuff. That was our claim to fame, baby. And it went all downhill after that. That was it. So that gave us some life. And I'm still trying to ride that high. Because again, that for me is what I enjoy the most about raids.
Oh yeah.
Is the solving, is the mechanic, figuring out the mechanics or the puzzles, all that stuff. That's my favorite part. This raid was not that. The mechanics, once you figure them out, at least for my encounter and from what I've been told, aren't like revolutionary, nor are they like really execute. It's not like super heavy execution that can trip up a lot of people a lot of the time, stuff like that. Instead, what it was you're not fighting the mechanics, you're fighting the DPS check. Because my guy, I'm fairly confident. I mean, I'll say it is. Someone can correct me, but I'm pretty sure this is the most DPS check of any raid ever. Not like, oh, this is hard. I mean,
Yeah.
stupid.
No, I think
gates
without
of
a
DPS check.
I think without, like, by a large margin, it's an extreme, like, the tightest. Tight in the sense that, like, for the final encounters, like, loadout swapping is a necessity. Like, if
I
you
think I
don't
heard the
loadout
world's
swap,
first team during the DPS phase, on average, was swapping 7 times. And that's the only way they could do it. That's why I'm in this petty little thing. Release the footage. Show me the playtesters at Bungie when you did this, clearing it.
well, that's the crazy thing
I would
is,
love to know.
that's the funny part is what a lot of people are theorizing is if they did clear it, they probably had like full tier 5 armor with the, you know, the seasonal bonuses and all that, you know,
Yeah.
good stuff. Which is like, a lot of people are like, well, yeah, that's fine if they did that, but then why not give us the opportunity to grind that tier 4 and 5 armor before the raid?
Even the super grinders got like a tier 5 piece and like a couple tier 4s. That's the only thing I can think of, and they might have just used the things they disabled, because maybe that was some of the best stuff. Because like we've seen that they're like they don't want to promote or have loadout swapping be a necessity.
For sure, yeah.
But as of this moment, I'm not sure of any team, and I'll be interested to see if any team can clear the final boss of this encounter on contest without loadout swapping. Nobody loadout swaps.
Well, as of right now, that hasn't
And I would
happened.
hesitate to think.
Of all the
Yeah, I would
clears,
hesitate
yeah.
to think that will happen. I don't know.
And I definitely don't think it won't by the time. Maybe someone finds like a really niche DPS strat that doesn't include loadout swapping. But because contest mode is still only 48 hours, I know a lot of people are not even going to bother looking for that. Probably just the people that have already cleared.
Yeah.
So like most of the people who are playing are just gonna, you know, they're just gonna do what the tried and true method of all the clears have been so far, which is loadout swapping. So we'll see. Maybe no loadout swap strat comes out, but I think it also goes to show
without any bugged thing, because like
yeah.
I believe right now there's like a bug with
There's a lot of encounters with bugs that I was looking at.
Yeah, hunter strand grapple something that if you do something, every melee from that hits like a thunder crash. So that's cool. But so like,
I mean, shit,
swap and don't abuse something like that.
Dude, I'm not against that shit.
I mean,
but
so that's just it's bizarre.
In addition to that, the ban list for the raid race was astronomical. Like we have, hold on, I just want to look at this ban list because it's crazy.
No. I know the new scout was because the damage was bugged because of the armor.
But like even with that scout, would it have mattered with how tight these DPS checks are? You know what I mean? Like,
actually, I think so.
Okay, yeah, no, you're probably spitting on that one. Yeah, okay, fair.
Well, because ammo economy, don't even get me started on that.
Apparently, the ammo economy has not changed either. That was like the number one. They did a whole new ammo system, and what ended up happening from the streams I was watching is everyone would just kill every ad and make sure everyone got a shot on the ad to make sure everyone generated the most ammo possible. Which is an awful way to play. That is so miserable. So yeah, the ban list is Outbreak Perfected, Third Iteration, Choir of One, Icebreaker, Dyad, Hierarchy of Needs, Grand Overture, Temporal Tracker Weapon Mod, Temporal Blast Seasonal Weapon Mod, Temporal Armaments Seasonal Weapon Mod, Temporal Adapter Seasonal Weapon Mod, Temporal Loader Seasonal Weapon Mod, Bounty and Weapon Leveling Pressure for combatant kills. What are we doing here? Why are we banning so many things, even if like they're doing more damage than expected? When I just don't, it's just a lot. And yeah, some things aren't going to get fixed in time, like the third iteration, obviously. Yeah, of course we're not going to fucking, yeah, that obviously has to not exist in the raid race, because then everyone's just going to have that and it's going to centralize the shit out of it. And there's not going to be any creativity or skill expression in the raid race. But I mean, is there...
It would have just been like, this raid's Outbreak Perfected. Like, we're out of ammo, swap to third iteration.
For sure, yeah. But man, so many things banned. It's getting me worried about QA testing, and also like if something does just a little more damage than it should be doing, Bungie is so quick to fun police it. And I am just a little exhausted with these massive lists. Like why is half the game getting disabled, bro?
Well,
in a raid race where it ended up just being, all right, guys, we're out of ammo. Swap to Lord of Wolves. All right, guys, swap to something else. Yeah. All right, guys, swap to something else.
So that was the thing, too, is all these teams would hot swap after they run out of heavy to Lord of Wolves, because it seems bugged that it gives like way more ammo back, or like all the ammo when you swap when it shouldn't. So again, also having to abuse what seems like a bug to even contest for a lot of the DPS checks. And then, yeah, in order to just get ammo in between rounds, because you can't drop ammo for allies anymore, everybody's got to do like that tag system and whatnot. And yeah, I want clarification, because people were pointing out, and I was noticing this, like the combatants were skulls or whatever, and contest mode, I believe, is always supposed to be minus 25 power.
I also heard about this. Yeah,
people damage tested. Yeah,
it's closer to the equivalent of minus 40.
Yeah, and it's acting essentially as if it's minus 40. What's that about?
Which I would like to say, even Salta Greppo literally went on record saying the game plays so bad at minus 40.
He also went on to say this is probably his favorite raid. So hot takes.
You can well, that's the thing. You can love the raid and you can love the design of it, And you can also really love the how tight the contest DPS check is, but you can also have criticisms about how the game feels at certain deltas, and also have criticisms of the raid itself that you love. So, but damn, dude,
For
like,
me, I don't mind DPS checks, but when they're so hyper specific, and here's the thing, there's not one, but every encounter is a DPS check because every encounter is a boss. All 4 are DPS checks. I think one of the first 3 is a little easier. It'll still be a bit of a check, but then you have the other 2 and then the boss. So all 4 encounters is just exhausting. And so this is another part where like clearly the top elitists, they're happy with it. And that's why I'm like, day 1 raids, like again, if this is just what it's just not for me anymore. Because for me, I think like a perfect balance, and I'm sure people disagree, but for me, somewhere around Vow the Disciple. A lot of mechanics, still some DPS check. You still had to be tight. You still had to optimize. So like Rolk, we were having to like optimize and mod and stuff. But there's still a lot of mechanics, puzzles, and execution. Because I think it should be a blend of that, where this one was more so just the DPS, like most of the mechanics weren't that difficult. And once you got it down, you weren't fighting the mechanics. You were fighting the DPS check. And just for me personally, that's not fun for me. But I know for some, I know Dado, I think he's even saying it, even though it's taking forever, he was like, this is great. He's loving it. Salta Greppa loved it. And so that's why I'm also not going to say change it. Because again, like all they say, whatever. These 1%, the 1%, they get 1, maybe 2 days a year. Whatever. Sure. Okay, fine. But it's just a bummer because for me, some of my favorite gaming experiences were day 1 raids. They were so much fun. And now that fun part for me is just got like those first like 2-3 hours of the encounter. We figured out in like an hour. And then it's like, oh, okay, execute. Oh, okay, so we can kind of get it. And then once I realized it was a DPS check, then I'm like, and not just so when we first fought it, we first did our DPS phase, pump damage. That health bar maybe was like 1/7, maybe. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Maybe this is like a dungeon thing, whereas as long as you can keep executing, you'll get damage phases. Because like that's a lot of health. Yeah, that makes sense. You get 3 phases and then you wipe. We, on our best run, 3 wipes, died to engage. I think the boss had 45% health left. And so people on the team kept coping like, okay, so if we change this, okay, so what if we eke out? And I'm like, brothers, if there was 5, maybe 10% left, I'd say maybe there's a chance we eke this out. We don't just come up with 45%. Not to mention we were using most of the builds, like some other people, like we ended up trying like the Thunderlord build, which everyone was running. But then we were at a disadvantage. I was the only Titan. And it turned out like Thunder Crash was like a huge crutch. And not only that, the people who had grinded and gotten high armor were managing to hit higher super stats because they changed it now. So I think that's where they went overboard. They changed so much of the sandbox. Then this raid came in, didn't give us time to grind and prep. And then they put power in those stats because now you can go over 100. And so, for instance, if you have 100 super, you just get like 100% super energy. But if you have like 200, you get like 200% super energy. And I think your super will do up to like maybe even higher, 30, 40% more damage. It's not even just, oh, you get it faster. Also more damage. Same thing with the weapon stat. It'll do damage to elites and stuff. More likely to spawn heavy. So people were also in trouble because of that. So like the teams that were doing the same thing as us, the main difference, they had more Titans. And each Titan was getting 2 Thunder Crashes off a phase. I could get 1. And so we're just sitting there. It's like, there is not like, there's only so much we can min-max here. And then it's just defeating where it's like, okay, what's the point? And then not only that, it's like, okay, we beat this boss. Sweet. 3 more sponges to go. knowing too that the last one is the worst, um, that's just not the fun part for me. So I enjoy figuring it out, and then I do like having to optimize your run, the team, and like I do believe a clear has to be perfect. Essentially, like it should need like perfect execution. Like okay, nobody messed up the mechanics. We were all executing flawless at the right time. DPS phase was clean. Boom, boom, boom. Do that 3 times or whatever. Clear. But now you do that and you're like, this bro still has 40% health. It was wild to me. And like the wild thing too is like Dado's team. He started on something else. It took them like 8 hours to do the first one. Then he moved on to the one we were doing. Even knowing all the mechanics going into the fight, because everybody had solved it, it still took them like 5.5 hours to just get the DPS. It's, I don't know. I just don't find that part interesting. You can throw some DPS checks in there, but it should not be that tight. Because here's the thing, too. It's that tight and requiring insane amount of loadout swaps. It's just, I don't know, counterintuitive to what I think at least Bungie wants in most players. And like also like console players, this is always the debate about loadout swaps.
Yeah, for sure.
How
Console
in the
players
world are they
especially.
gonna manage that? Yeah.
I
Like you're just
I'm sure
wrong,
there
I
is
guess.
more to it that Bungie is never going to admit to, because I definitely don't think this was their intention of having such a tight
But
DPS
they
check.
won't be like, whoops.
Yeah, but they're not going to be like, oh, looks like damage scaling is just bad all across the board, guys. They're never going to publicly come out and say that, because that's just how Bungie PR works. But I will say, like, if like almost metagaming, like loadout swapping becomes a necessity for like future raid races, you know, it'll definitely like nope a few people out, which is also why I like that the normal mode comes out after that.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would mind if contest is this crazy with the normal mode coming out after a first clear. I think a lot of hardcore players were really nervous that like, oh man, we're only gonna get 8 hours and then normal mode's gonna come out. That's not fair. And then lo and behold, it was actually way harder, and most teams that are going for a contest clear probably aren't going to clear till like the 24-hour mark of rating, right? Like, so if this is the future, I don't mind if normal mode comes out after it, but also it's definitely strange for me in a game that has such an unbalanced sandbox at all times to have such a tight DPS check. I can understand in games like WoW or 14 where numbers are a lot more standardized and tight, but in a game like Destiny where the guns and the abilities kind of have never been at the point where they can have like similar standard numbers, because like the sandbox is so much more freeform than like a tab target game. It just doesn't really work in the same way WoW and 14 or any other MMO do, where you know you can play to a high degree and get a certain number. In Destiny 2, it's not the same because there's a million different things that contribute to the damage you can do at so many different twists and turns, and it's just a deeply unbalanced sandbox. So having such tight DPS checks when these numbers are impossible to fully standardize in a game like D2, it's a strange choice. It's a strange choice, but at the end of the day,
I just want them. Go ahead.
At the end of the day, if the hardcore players really enjoyed the DPS checks being so tight, I think that's fine. I think letting it up a little bit, because I think for a lot of people, they don't want to do normal mode first. A lot of people do want that contest mode difficulty for sure. That just makes it a lot more fun for those people who maybe want a hardcore experience, but maybe not like, I'm not fucking optimizing a damage rotation to the level of like Elysium or, all those people. So
yeah, that's why. So when I say this, I'm not saying change the contest to like make me happy. It's just me saying, yeah, this is it. It's not for me. And I would just prefer Bungie to come out. I wouldn't be mad if they go, "This is what we want contest to be."
For sure.
Then
Yeah.
expectations are set, and then I know. And then
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna be
Yeah.
like, "I'm gonna wait for
Exactly.
normal,"
Exactly.
because then I just know. But every contest is like just like that. Is
So
it gonna be Root of
wild. It's
Nightmares?
so
Is it
wildly
gonna be
different.
yeah, and so, I was hearing a lot of stories too about people who are like, "This time, like, man, we really grinded. I got a team really early. This time we were gonna do it," and then it's like not even like a glimpse of hope.
And
Um,
not only that, you talk about these teams like this is the time we're gonna grind it. But what if those people miss like a random niche weapon that they can't even grind out right now? That's another reason why I don't
yeah.
really agree with DPS checks being so tight when
Do
the
you have this thing from 4 years ago that,
yeah
only was
that yeah the some of these DPS weapons are so like really specific and a lot of people can't even grind out a lot of these niche picks because you just can't even get them anymore. So the playing field is never level in these races anyway. So but yeah, the you were talking about how well, this is it, we're gonna do it. But how could they have known when the expectations for every contest is either yeah, it's gonna be like a 2-3 hour raid or yep, so this is gonna be a 48-hour contest raid where Dado doesn't clear it until the 32-hour mark. Like, who
yeah.
knows? Who
'Cause then
knows?
that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be upset. 'Cause then I just know, "Oh, this is a DPS check contest raid? Cool, not for me."
Yeah.
I'll wait for that world's first clear, and then I'll do a blind normal run,
Hell
which is what
yeah.
I'm probably gonna do now.
That
I haven't seen
sounds
the others. I'll do blind
and I'm
normal.
in.
Yeah, and that's I still don't get the same satisfaction as, like, contest, you know? It's not like, "Woo!" But I still get to enjoy the going through a blind and actually being able to clear it. Um, but I think that's what I would just prefer, is just communicate who this is for. Do you want it to be accessible for just the 1% of the 1%? You want it to be accessible for the 1%? You want it to maybe hit like the 5%, like more so like what Root of Nightmares, although I think Root of Nightmares is even more than that. Um, I just need that gauge, or just tell me beforehand, hey, this is gonna be more mechanics than DPS.
Whatever you
I'm there,
choose,
bro. Hey, this
whatever
one
you
more DPS, less
choose,
mechanics.
I'm happy with your choice. Whatever your decision is, do that because that's your vision and I want you guys to stay true to your vision. But man, I
But it's never
like
been consistent.
I don't like it's tough to even know what the choice to make is if oh dude, are we getting the team together for the contest day one and throwing 12 hours at it? Or do we just wait for the normal mode? But I don't even know because the next raid race is probably gonna be like, yeah, we're not doing a normal mode, it's just a 48-hour contest mode, and then it's like, okay, well fucking
Yep.
another year where I have no idea how to plan around this raid, which is kind of booty cheeks.
Which is why, unironically, I'm grateful I checked out for this one. Because if I had actually prepared, oh, I'd be pissed.
Oh
I'd be up
yeah.
there too. It's like, bro, I actually like I was ready, but at least I came into this one know it like I didn't grind or whatever. And even then, mind you, turns out all the DPS stuff and whatever, like I had. And all the armor stuff wouldn't have mattered. Like nobody was able to grind to the or most of them couldn't grind um to that unless you got in like the encore window and blah 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 blah. So yeah, that's just why I just wanted to be clear what you want these to look like. Because yeah, if this is what it's like, I'll be rooting on them boys.
I'll
Love
be
that for
rooting on
them.
them boys, but maybe it's not for me anymore.
Because
And that's cool.
I know for that 1% and the 1%, yeah, they're just like, dude, this is sick. Because they're having to pull out absolutely everything. Um, and then willing to do that, 10 hours in a row on one encounter and be like, this is freaking sick, bro.
Yeah, I
Um,
freaking love my nuts getting stomped repeatedly. Fuck yeah, dude.
so honestly, I just blame Bungie because, especially starting off, day one raids were so accessible. And then even when they weren't, they're still doable. And it's like that. It's like crack. When a day one raid, like you beat a day one raid on contest, that's so much fun. I love that. And I can't really find that in other games. So now I'm just like, man, I want to experience this. Um, so that part is a little bit of a bummer. But yeah, like personally, way too much HP. Like, again, going through, executing perfectly, and getting those 3 damage phases in, and then seeing almost half a health bar. It's like, what are we doing here? And then hours of like, yeah, but like, what if, guys, what if we try? And then over and over and over, it's like, oh yeah, that I don't think anything's changing. Um, it's just brutal in that sense. Um, and so yeah, I think even Salty Grapple kind of, or no, somebody tweeted out, maybe it was somebody on his team or something. Somebody linked it to me that they were just like, I much prefer this than in like puzzles and mechanics or whatever. And so they're just the opposite player that I am. So of course they'll love this. But for me, yeah, I still enjoy the execution, puzzles. Um, and so yeah, this just wasn't the raid for me. And again, I'll just reiterate, just be clear. Set some expectations because that's the problem. The raids are just this never-ending roller coaster. And I don't know if they want to set expectations because then less people will be interested, maybe, or some people just check out. I don't know. Um, but I would certainly appreciate that. So that was my main issue with the raid is just mechanics. Once you figured them out, weren't that crazy, and just the most insane DPS ever. I mean, I've never enjoyed DPS being the thing that defines an encounter.
Yeah, I want for me personally as well, I'm a big MMO dude, and I love whoever can figure out and execute on the puzzles the best wins the game. But if you want them
I
tight ass
still
DPS
think
checks,
contest.
hell
You
yeah,
still need DPS checks. That makes sense.
for sure,
It is
yes.
contest mode. It is tough, but this just felt like it went a little too far for me.
A little
Well,
heavy-handed.
certainly that first fight. Anyway. Yeah, it was heavy-handed. And again, that's why I'm sure some people disagree with me, but like Rolk felt like a good in between, at least at the time, um, for like, okay, we got the fight, we got the execution, DPS is close. Now start min maxing. What can we do? Um, oh, and then but the other gripe too that we talked about, ammo economy, just absolute chalked, um, absolute fiesta. And so like the encounter we did, there's a part during the fight where like technically for like a minute and a half a timer isn't going. So everyone just sits there, shoots absolutely everything. We essentially just draw out the fight as much as possible every single time because it's like we don't even know if this is the run, but will need the ammo. So we just slow down the fight as much as possible, and then we still don't have enough ammo. Um. So yeah, that's my gripe. I'm sure some people liked it. I'd be interested to hear from like viewers. I know it seems the public consensus is leaning towards like, bro, too much HP. But again, I'm not saying cater to me. That's the difference. I'm not saying, hey, make it for me. Because again, I've come to that realization, and I think it was a couple years ago or whatever, and like talking with Data, where it's like, this is your day. This is you and like the couple hundred other thousand whatever people, where it's like, this is practically your life, your job, and this is what you live for. So you get that 1 or 2 days. I'd like to participate though. Um, but if it ends up being like this, I'm good. Like it's like a last wish situation. I'm sitting there, we backed out, and I'm like, yep, nah, bruh, that ain't for me. I just wish we would know. Because yeah, it just keeps flip flopping. And so you never know what to expect. And so yeah, everyone's like, bro, after Edge of Salvation, oh, it's gonna be boo boo keys. It's gonna be Root Nightmare 2. Little do they know it's gonna be harder with DPS than Edge of Salvation. Um so it's bizarre. It was like because I think somebody was complaining, it's like I would rather DPS check than have to do a puzzle encounter that doesn't tell you if you're doing it right or wrong. I think they're talking about like Verity.
If we talk about Verity, Verity is definitely
But for
just like
me,
a crazy.
yeah, that is crazy.
That was
But see,
that
for me, I
that
would
was too
rather
much
do
for
that.
me.
I would
That's
rather
fair.
sit there and just be like, what are we missing? Like trial of elimination. We've got to figure. that's where other people are like, no, bro, I would bow out. I get that. But that's for me what would keep me engaged. Because every encounter keeps me engaged until we solve it, and then we're DPS checked for like X amount of time. And then it's like, okay, what the fudge? So that's my thoughts as a whole. Now, mind you, even after playing that raid and seeing the optimization and seeing the way the new stats work and stuff, like it makes me want to grind. I want to get my power level up, get some cool builds. But then that's also what I'm bummed about too. Is like, well, but like, what is Destiny 2 looking like in the future? Like, what do I have to look forward to? And I think it would be different too if it's like, all right, that week's done. We did the raid. Now I got to go back and do all that seasonal stuff, or well, episodic stuff, as well as catch up on this and grind for these. But right now, it just feels more aimless and meaningless. And I know, I mean, that's kind of the argument. Like, in game of these games, looter shooters and stuff is like whatever you make of it. Like, if you want to grind for that god roll or not, blah blah blah. But yeah, it's weird having the itch, but there's just not quite enough there or the vibe to be like, yeah.
So, Mr. Fruit, I'm gonna ask you. Now that you've played the raid, now that you've done the entire story, now that you've grinded a little bit, you know, just smidge. I'm not even gonna ask you for a rating. I'm not even gonna ask you augers or not. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna ask you for something much more freeform. Would you recommend this game to someone else? Would you recommend this expansion to someone else?
Have they played D2 or have they not?
They've played D2.
If they're asking me, then that probably means they're lukewarm, and I'd say no.
All right.
Because if they're playing D2, they wouldn't be asking me. They probably already bought it. But it's like those people where it's like, yo, will this will this get my thirst back or something? Or like, yo, is this going to reignite my spark? I'm like, well, if you fell out, I don't think this is the thing to get you back there. And I don't think Bungie was kidding themselves into thinking that this is the thing to reignite that either for people. So yeah, I don't know if I would recommend it. Because especially too, if you don't raid, you have the campaign and some patrol. Not even lost sectors, you know? It's just like, I don't know. It's weird. I really hope this next expansion too is, there's no way there's a 6-month gap and then we get a release with this much content as well. That would be wild to me. So, I don't know. Keep an eye out, but yeah, it would have been funny though to hear some of Rob's takes, because he would have said like, I don't care, this is stupid. For him too, he draws the line at loadout swapping. For him, he's like, I'll do anything, but once loadout swapping is mandatory, that for him, like that's the line. Like, my preference would be a tight DPS check, but loadouts are locked in an encounter. So then it's also hopefully knowingly designed around that fact. And then you don't have to rely on that sort of stuff. And instead, it is still like, oh, we missed. Okay, we got to change our loadout. And we still have to min max. But then it's execution and manageable without having to, you know, do a bunch of that stuff. But again, if that is what it is, it's just not for me, which is a shame, because I do enjoy doing it. Even regardless of like where I'm in Destiny, like, oh, that's why it's like, well, I'll probably try the raid. I mean, it's always fun to figure that stuff out.
And I respect that, Mr. Fruit, but I think our time coming to a close. Mr. Fruit, is there anything else this week that got your pickle in a stickle? Or was Lightfall shit? Was beyond the cock that was edging your fate? Was that the extent of your have you seen Superman, bro? Have you seen Superman?
Oh yeah, I saw Superman
Okay. Well, we can go into more detail when we're not
juiced.
an hour and a half in,
Yeah.
but let me just tell you, we're so back. DC is so back, baby. We're so back. That's all. That's all I got.
We'll go into more detail next episode. I'll say Superman juiced, Jurassic Park dog. End it there.
Cool. But goddamn,
Yas.
Jonathan Bailey, my goodness.
I was unfamiliar with your game.
Were you really unfamiliar with Jonathan Bailey's game?
Yeah, I don't actually. What else has he been in? I don't know.
He's been in quite a lot of things. He's definitely especially the past couple of years. But he's that dude could have like a chemistry with a wall. Goodness. But anyways,
Oh me, oh my.
I think that's it, Mr.
That'll
Fruit.
do it.
It's been an honor.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully with Rob himself. Talk about some of that stuff and whatever else is coming up. I am interested to hear. This is obviously a more Destiny centric episode, which is maybe strange for some viewers because we're not like plugged in all the time. So randomly, there's just like we'll just have these episodes just like, what the fudge are they talking about?
I'm sure there's gonna be a couple people who are like, you don't even play this game. Maybe you should not talk about it. I've been playing this game
You're not entitled to your own
religiously.
opinion.
I've been playing this game religiously since about 2 years ago, and you guys don't even play this game that much.
But I am interested in if you have been playing, what your guys' opinions are.
For sure.
Because I would like a vibe check. I know that the elite of the elite who are currently crushing their balls as we speak still are like, oh, keep crushing them.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm just interested to hear what you guys think, or just viewers as a whole. So with that said, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next JJ Over Easy. Deuces.